Okay, guys, welcome to the 13th of May, and today is an introduction to the Loire Valley. So I'm just going to share screen. If everyone could just make sure, if they're not already, they are on mute, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, today is an introduction to the Loire Valley for our third week of May wine month 2024. And it's a fairly simple introductory session to talk through, because compared to some of the other wine growing regions of France, the Loire Valley is a little bit simpler. So 13th of May today, I think, is our seventh session of the month so far. And I'll touch on this near the end, but after today, we do have a number of sessions from some of our producers from the Loire Valley. Next week is Bordeaux, and then we finish the last week of the month with the Rhone Valley and the south of France. So as if you've joined any of these introductory sessions before, so we did the introduction to Alsace on the first, and this time last week we did the introduction to Burgundy. You know, the format for these sessions is pretty consistent. So we'll just touch on the location, whereabouts that location is in France. If you could mute yourself, that'd be great. Talk about the location, where that location is in France, what varieties are grown within that wine growing region. Talk about some key facts of that wine growing region, and then probably most importantly, talk about the wines or the producers that we list from that wine growing region within France. So, as said, today is an introductory session on the Loire Valley. And so we've shown this map on all of the introductory sessions so far. So the Loire Valley is quite a large wine growing region in France, and it spreads right the way from the Atlantic coast on the far west, right the way through to almost touching on to Chablis and Burgundy on the far east. So geographically, it does spread over quite a large wine growing region within France. Now, that provides quite a lot of contrast when it comes to the climate, with the Atlantic influences on the west and the more continental influences from a wine growing perspective on the far east. Also, a number of different soil types that run down the different valleys and slopes of the Loire, and some differences in terms of average growing conditions, average amount of rainfall per annum, etc. So if we just have a closer look at the Loire Valley in terms of its wine growing region, there are basically five, or arguably four, subdivisions, sub-territories of wine growing within the Loire Valley. We start on the Atlantic side around the town of Nantes, and this first wine growing region is Pays Nantes. Then, as we head further inland, Anjou, then Saumur, then Touraine, and then Centre Loire, or Centre of Lyon. And we're going to look at these subdivisional areas or sub-regions of the Loire Valley in a little bit more detail over the next few slides. So, as I said, Atlantic coast over here. Here we're not far away from Chablis, not far away from Burgundy, and then the far east of the Loire Valley is Pouilly-Fumé, and then just slightly west is Sancerre, which are obviously names that we know and we will touch on later. So here is that map of the Loire Valley with a little bit more detail behind it, and this is a really useful map to look at, because not only does it start to show the geographical locations of these regions, but it also starts to help you comprehend the varieties that are grown within those regions, and whether they make white wine, red wine, rosé wine, or sparkling wine. And we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. So this is a useful map to look at. So some key facts around the Loire when it comes to its viticulture and vinification. So it's grape growing and winemaking. So firstly, the Loire Valley as a region has been nicknamed the Garden of France by the nobles of the 15th and 16th century. It's a very green, organic cultural place where lots of lots of orchards, gardens, vineyards, producing a load of great produce from this area of France, not just wine. As a river, it's the longest river in France. And the Loire Valley in total, the larger wine growing region of the Loire, is home to over 4,000 wineries in total. There are about 87 sub-appellations within the Loire Valley. And however, there are 51 AOPs, so appellation contrôlées within the Loire. However, up until very recently, there's not been any Premier Crus or Grand Crus within the Loire Valley, and only effectively from 2014 is there one Grand Cru and one Premier Cru. If you kind of research these two cru appellations, the dates will vary because they obviously went through a process of application and they were granted, but then it took some time before the wines were actually labeled as Grand Cru coming out of these two places, Grand Cru and Premier Cru. So passed and effective from 2014, one Grand Cru, which is just south of Angers, and one Premier Cru appellation, which is literally next to Côtes de Chaumet, which is in just south of Angers. Cremant, which is sparkling wine, traditional method sparkling wine, non-champagne, or the French approach to sparkling wine that's made the traditional method, but not from the appellation of Champagne. Cremant production in Loire Valley is the highest in France, which makes it the second largest producing region of sparkling wine after Champagne. So some sort of key facts of the Loire Valley there. Now, grape varieties are really quite interesting to talk through. So starting with the far west of the Loire Valley, we have a grape variety called Melon, or its full name is Melon de Bourgogne. Now, this is the most widely planted white grape of the Loire Valley and contributes to the largest amount of production, but predominantly in that far west, Pez, Nantes region, greater region of the Loire Valley. Working inland, so working towards that continental area of the country, we then have Angers-Saumur, and within that wine growing region, it's nearly white. From a white perspective, it's nearly all about the Chenin. So Chenin Blanc being the key grape variety of Angers and Saumur. Working further inland, further east again in Touraine, we have Sauvignon and Chenin. So Sauvignon Blanc and Chenin Blanc continues. And then finally in the central vineyards, it's all about Sauvignon Blanc. So we start on the far west of the Loire Valley with Melon de Bourgogne, and we work our way in the central two districts areas of Loire Valley, Chenin and Sauvignon. And as we go right to the far east of the Loire Valley, it's all about Sauvignon Blanc from a white grape variety perspective. Just to show now, obviously, like all wine growing regions in France, there's a little bit of local grape varieties or smaller grape varieties that are grown in these wine growing regions. And as you can see here, Chardonnay is in that list for the Loire Valley. There's 8% of the white grape varieties that is grown in the Loire is Chardonnay. But those three grape varieties we've just been talking about here take up about 90%. Almost 90% of the white grape production in the Loire Valley. Melon de Bourgogne being the highest percentage, then Sauvignon and Chenin very, very close. Chenin in the central and Sauvignon in the east. If we take a quick look at the red grape varieties now, so working our way from west to east again. So in the Pez Nantes, there is no real red grape production and no real red wine or rosé wine in that area. So then working inland again, at Angers, Saumur, we have Cabernet Franc. And across the Loire Valley as a whole, Cabernet Franc is the largest planted red grape variety by acreage, by hectares, and by volume of production. However, something that's worth pointing out is that Cabernet Franc is the predominant variety that's used for the rosé production within Saumur. Touraine is Gamay, Malbec, and Cabernet Franc. So I've just got the Gamay and the Malbec here, but Cabernet Franc continues into Touraine. And then as we go far into the central vineyards, it's from a black grape or red grape variety perspective, it's nearly all Pinot Noir. So Pinot Noir making both the red wines and the rosé wines from those central vineyards areas like Sancerre. Just showing that same pie chart as I did with the white wines. As you can see here, over 50% of the black grape variety or red wine coming out of the Loire Valley is Cabernet Franc. And as I said, this variety is responsible for not just the red wines, but a large percentage of the rosés coming out of that central Loire area. After Cabernet Franc, Gamay contributes to 18% of the planting by percentage, and then Pinot Noir 8%. So a relatively small percentage of the red grape is Pinot Noir, but that's really concentrated over in that far east side towards Burgundy. As you can see, we've got some small percentages here of other grape varieties, including 5% of Cabernet Sauvignon, which is also included within districts of the Loire Valley. So as we move on, so this is a little black and white, slightly more simplified image of the Loire Valley. But what I wanted to show on this slide, which is what I'm kind of wrapping up with, is our Loire Valley wines and whereabouts we'd find them. So this is the extract from the Hotel du Vin core wine list. And as you can see, we list and detail 4 wines on our core wine list from the Loire Valley. The first one being the Muscadet. So Muscadet is our by the glass Muscadet from the Loire Valley, and this Muscadet is made 100% of that grape variety Melon de Bourgogne, or Melon in short. And Le Breccia is based just south, about half an hour south of Nantes, in that Pez Nantes region of the Loire Valley. So that's our first wine. That's our by the glass wine representing the Loire Valley on the Hotel de Vin core wine list. And as I said, that wine is made with 100% Melon de Bourgogne. Then working inland, so working east in the Loire Valley, we move on to Vouvray. Now, Vouvray is in the center of the Loire Valley right here, in that Troyes region. And this wine is a Chenin, 100% Chenin, as the predominant white grape variety of that central Loire region. As I showed on that map earlier, Chenin into Sauvignon are the main 2 grapes that are grown here. And then the 2 more premium wines that we have on the Hotel de Vin core list from the Loire Valley is Poulet Fumé and Sancerre. Now, both Poulet Fumé and Sancerre are key wine growing appellations in the central vineyards. Poulet Fumé being almost as far east as you can see on the map here, so as far east on that Loire Valley as you can go. And we have a session with Maison Blondel later on in the week. And then working slightly back towards the coast, slightly further west of Poulet Fumé is Sancerre. And Sancerre is here, and this shows our Sancerre by the bottle on the Hotel de Vin core list, which is produced by Domaine Thomas. So across Hotel de Vin, these are our 4 wines that we serve to our guests from the Loire Valley, with the Muscadet being our by the glass and the Vouvray, Poulet Fumé, and Sancerre being by the bottle. So that brings me to the end of the introduction to Loire. As I said, it's there's slightly less to talk about from the Loire Valley compared to definitely Burgundy and definitely Bordeaux that we're going to be talking about next week. But I really hope that you will join us for some or all of the 3 sessions that we have for the rest of this week. So talking about Sancerre tomorrow at 3 o'clock, Poulet Fumé on Thursday at 3 o'clock, and Vouvray on Friday at 3 o'clock. I will just bring us there to any questions, and I will stop the screen share. So, I hope that was a useful session. There we go. Hope that was a useful session, and I will stop the recording there, but leave the floor open to anyone who may have any questions. Thank you.